The creator, or Nirmata, as it's named in the film, is the creator of AI. What would happen if war broke out with AI and AI was fully sentient and conscious? This is the main question the movie aims to answer. Duh. Although there is a backdrop of a war with New Asia, which honestly is a really cool concept, but done and is actually pretty done well in execution. The reason is that in the movie, the American states, they don't really have a problem with New Asia, only AI. But New Asia is almost entirely AI. So, I mean, it works for the movie, but if they were to do it again, I would have definitely had them rewrite it or do something else with it because it just doesn't really mesh well together. But of course, the war with New Asia is very closely related to the war in Vietnam. I don't think anyone has made the comparison yet, at least I'm not aware of anyone making the comparison between this movie and Star Wars. I feel they're quite similar in their overall kind of seriousness, although this movie is a bit more serious than Star Wars, because Star Wars is a more kind of blockbustery action movie with jokes and all that stuff. But in my honest opinion, I think in terms of story and actual progression, the storytelling, they are about the same, even though Star Wars seems to be a little bit more simpler. But anyways, enough about Star Wars. There are a few bits that shine out to me in this movie. The first one is how technically, even though the AI machines are machines, they still have people living in them. Like it's kind of like having a clone. What the movie doesn't really explore is how these people are who are not human, who the person is. Is it the human or the machine? Because they're essentially the same. And I think this is the crux of the movie. Since Alfie is a machine and is treated as a nuclear superpower, but in reality, she is just a little child. And Joshua knows this. All of the machines know it, but none of the Americans know it, and that's why they have to get rid of her. Also, just a quick side note, I have to give insane credits to Madeline Yuna Voles. Hopefully, I didn't mess that up too much, since she did an absolute fantastic job at the age of about 7 or 8 as a child actor. Usually in movies, you don't really expect child actors to be any good at all. They might be good in the odd Marvel movie or superhero movie for a little cameo, but she did an absolutely fantastic job, which is also elevated by the script. Anyways, back on topic. At first, I personally think that Joshua really did love Alfie throughout the whole movie, to the point of having kind of a surrogate daughter. He has to move on from the death of Maya, but he never treats her like a machine. Even when they get into the city in New Asia, he still treats her with respect, and especially all the other robots. Not just because he and Alfie are on the run, but because he sees everyone as a living, breathing thing, as a sentient being. You can see the Americans are running away from the authorities and have absolutely no regard for human or AI life. They just shoot everything in their path. I do think how it would be interesting if the Americans were not the scapegoat, but I think if it was that, then it would have gone into more philosophy discussion, and this is an action movie after all. When Alfie and Joshua are separated, Ken Watanabe's character locks up Joshua and he tells him that the nukes were launched as a result of a coding error on part of the humans. That turns the story completely upside down, where now AI are the saviors from the evil Americans, which makes sense because you have to make a story digestible. It's understandable why they did that, but I think a bolder and better choice, in my opinion, is to keep it unknown. Like, it could have been the AI. The reason everyone is so afraid of AI is the Terminator is because it has no face, no emotions, and really no consciousness. No one knows why they did this in the Terminator. And in this movie, I think it gives a more conclusive picture of what it means to be conscious, what it means to be human. The AI, if the reason wasn't given for the launch of nukes in LA, would have been more interesting, since that means the humans could have had reasons to hate AI, and the AI would have reasons to hate the U.S. Overall, I think it would have been a little bit more difficult for audiences to digest, but I think if they did that and rewrote it a little bit, it would have been very, very good. But the movie is also very good. But coming back to the main message, all the way through, everyone has to come to terms with the fact that this AI superpower can destroy the US's nuke base, whatever it's called in the movie. I honestly don't remember. It is a literal base with nukes. So that's it. They come up with some fancy name, but that's basically what it is. And even the Americans, even though it's not shown, I hope they come to terms with the fact that these machines are human through the story. I think that's why the ending is very emotionally resonant, but the antagonists aren't shown very heavily, so it doesn't really gel well together. Everyone is kind of happy that the Americans lost their toy in the nuke base, but it doesn't show how they feel or act. Now that the good guys won, it just shows that everyone in New Asia is happy, and understandably so. The US almost launched nukes on them. That's the one thing I don't really like about this movie, is how New Asia can be okay with this, and the US can just send nukes wherever. Uh, and the reason for this is that, oh, you have AI there, so we're gonna send it there. It doesn't really work for this movie, and I think they could have done it. They could have redone it a little bit better. Anyways, though, this movie is really good. This was supposed to be a Rogue One alternative script, but holy cow. If this was going to be a Rogue One movie, this shit would have been fire. Anyways, thank you for listening to me ramble. I hope you can sit down one day and watch this movie and really assess it on your own part. Hopefully, this was a coherent way and maybe even call it an analysis, maybe not. Thank you for watching. Leave a like if you liked it. Leave a comment about what you didn't like. Have a great day.